This is the Average Guy Network, and you found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 449. We're so close to 450. Recorded on June 18th, 2020. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the Wieger Tech Studios here in beautiful West Omaha. Mike, thanks for hosting me out here.
Of course. Yeah, change of scenery for both of us, but, getting to do it in person, it's a lot of fun.
It's a little open mic night-ish.
It is.
It kind of feels that way, doesn't it?
Especially because, when me and Colin used to do this is how Colin and I usually used to do it, was live in person in my apartment. It feels a lot of memories flooding back.
At Gallup, I've done a few of these with people sitting right next to me, and it's just a ton of fun. Like, I now that I'm doing it again, I'm thinking like, maybe I have to figure out how to do this a little more often.
Yeah, exactly. We can make it happen. Like,
it'd be impossible with the kids, right?
It would be impossible to do it all the time
because they'd want to know what Dad's doing.
Oh, for sure. We couldn't do it over here. It'd probably have to be at your house.
Yeah. Anyway, there's not a good spot at my place.
Yeah.
To do all this, we had initially thought maybe we'd do it on the deck. We have thunderstorms coming through tonight, and just didn't want to chance it. We got a chance to. Justin sent us some cigars. Justin Simmons sent us some cigars. And we smoked those before, some nice Cubans. They were delicious.
Really good.
John Biggs has sent us some Kentucky bourbon barrel ale beer that we've been enjoying. So we opened that in the pre-show. By the way, if you don't join us live, you should. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out at theaverageguy.tv/live. We kind of cover all that stuff in the pre-show. So stormy weather. I think we're going to be okay.
I think it was a good decision.
Weather-wise, being indoors. Of course, you can catch the show notes. Won't be a ton. I'll include the feedback that we got from the show in the show notes this week, but all out at theaverageguy.tv. Don't forget, you can download the mobile app, watch us mobile, homegadgetgeeks.com. You can also follow the show schedule now, theaverageguy.eventbrite.com. Gets you to that. And if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, I forgot to send it out this week, so I say it's mostly weekly, but theaverageguy.tv/subscribe. And we want to thank our Patreon subscribers as well, folks that are doing that. Appreciate your financial partnership in what we're doing here at Home Gadget Geeks. Mike, you spent some time last week, before we get to the user feedback, by the way, thank you for covering my arse last week.
I felt so bad for you. I just know how that goes when tech stuff's going wrong. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to figure that out live on the fly.
You did a great job of filling in for me. 35-minute show, maybe pretty quick. By the time I took out all my, hey, can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? It seems to be going around. Dave Jackson had this problem. I'd been podcasting with him the week before. You had been, the story you told last week is about your Wi-Fi.
Yeah, my speeds and everything like that.
Yeah,
my modem. Yep.
And so you bought a new modem. I actually went back as I was editing the show to listen to what you had to say because I missed most of it. Just as I was thinking about, because I had all that trouble last week, right?
Right.
And so right after the show was over, I called Cox and said, hey, help me out here. So we did some troubleshooting on Thursday night, and I did it all via their chat messenger. So never picked up the phone, didn't call them. I'm going to have beer burps with this because it's really good. So all via messenger, all via chat. We did all the things that they say you do. Made a direct line connection, rebooted everything.
I almost like to preface those conversations with them of I know what I'm doing. I've done everything we normally do. Can we just jump straight? Can we skip the script and go to the end?
They don't believe you though.
I know
they never
let you. They say, well, let's try it again.
Yeah. So went through that Thursday night till 11 or so, and finally, the gal who I was talking to said, "Hey, you're probably going to need a new modem because your modem's old. We've ruled out everything else." So, all right, fine. So I started looking, and then I went back and listened to what you'd said, and I had almost. So I went on eBay. No, that would be you. I went on. Right?
I did buy my noon this time.
Oh,
it was an Amazon buy this time. Yeah.
So I went on Amazon to try and find those, and they're super pricey. Like the prices have even gone up. I think
they went up $20 since I bought it, and I only bought it a week or two ago.
What did you pay? Do you remember?
$140.
So it was like $200, like $199 when I went to look.
Jeez.
And and I couldn't get it till like Thursday of like it would have been today
But I wonder what. Yeah, it's
by the time
weird
I
because
got
I
it.
got mine was here the next day
Okay,
for
no,
140.
couldn't
Crazy,
couldn't get it. And I wanted this fixed now.
right?
Like I was like, okay,
You
we're gonna
needed to for your job. Like you're working from home, you're
right.
doing the podcasting from home for Gallup, and so you need that to be working.
Yeah, and I had a busy week. I had 5 podcasts this
Yeah.
week. And so I was like, okay, I need to do something different. So I looked, somebody had said in the chat room last week, and I forget who it was, one of the modems was available at Walmart. So I actually, Friday morning, I actually went out to Walmart and they had some DOCSIS 3. They didn't know DOCSIS 3.1. And I was still, at that time, I was still kind of going back and forth. What did I want to do? So check Target. They had some as well. No 3.1s. They only had 3s. And I kind of had to wrestle with that decision. Like, am I going to get it fixed today with a 3.0,
Right.
or am I going to wait a couple days and get a 3.1? Right. And I went kind of back and forth. I wanted it fixed right now. And I was kind of hoping I could get that thing fixed. This was Friday morning. And I knew I had asked the podcast coach with Dave Jackson on Saturday, and I was trying to get it fixed before Saturday. So I wanted the equipment right now. So I did find Best Buy was actually the best deal. I had
Okay.
and I got a Motorola 6190. Although it's a ARRIS RS, I think
Yeah.
is how they pronounce it.
Sierra surfboard.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think they sell more than
Yep.
anybody, right? So it's not really Motorola. And it's a 3.0, and it gets up to 1.4 gig. And I thought, okay, good enough. Like I think this will work. So actually bought it Friday morning from Best Buy. Best Buy is still not letting you in the store. So drove out there. Someone carried it out to the car. Not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal at all.
Right?
I bought something from them too, and I was like, oh, that's kind of nice, to be honest.
I know. Like
faster than Amazon. They bring it right out.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got in. Tax isn't an issue anymore, right? So
Right.
So the gal brought it out to me, which was super awesome. Came home, plugged it in, called Cox back, said, okay, I got a new modem. Gal walked me through the setup and what's your MAC address and all those things. Then we started checking speeds. It wasn't any better. It was not any better. And the comment was funny. I was like, we were doing this via chat. I've just found that to be a lot easier than the phone.
Yep.
Than the phone one.
And faster
I
response.
think so.
Yep.
Yeah. So I said, here's my speeds. And literally she typed back to me, oh, that's awful. That is awful. And I just thought that was funny. Like she would admit like, oh, those speeds are awful.
Yeah. Especially with a new modem. Because then at that point they know there's really no other links in the chain that could be causing an issue.
Yeah. No, it was should we be concerned? Andrew says and there goes the stream, but can you guys seeing still hearing and seeing us okay since we're doing this live? Are you guys still
hopefully
things still looking good?
Everything on my side looks like it's going well. So
good. Well, you have a new modem and I do too. So I'm hoping these things.
I know, right? Well, and we're on Wi-Fi tonight and we're back on a Mac, right? So you never know.
Could it's questionable.
Yeah.
Brian says working fine for him. So good.
Cool.
Okay. So I'm like, she's like, I'll send out a technician. Yes, I got the magical.
And that never happens. They're
super stingy.
Yes, super stingy. But now you have the plan with Cox. Did you?
I did. I bought it, but I bought it Thursday. Well, I bought it Thursday night. So they were like, hey, $10 a month gets you wiring no matter where it's at. So they'll come in the house, although they're not currently coming in the house. Like they can't come in the house.
At all.
But at all.
Okay.
No, at all. So I was going back and forth like, okay, do I buy that? Am I, now the deal on that is if you buy it, then you have a service call and you cancel it, they charge you $90.
Okay.
So that kind of keeps you from buying it just for the one time, have them fix it, right? It's $10 a month.
Right.
So I'm going to keep that on. And that's, I wasn't that worried. I'll tack that on to what I'm doing, so now I know like, and I'll probably cancel it if I don't have any problems in the next year.
Well, and you have your own modem.
Right.
So it's really like paying a modem cost, like I have been for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That's
and
not
if
a bad deal,
something goes wrong, I just call and there's advanced support. I mean, so I'm going to give it a try. So I bought their advanced support. 22-year-old kid came out. I thought, oh boy, like I got the newbie.
Here we go.
And he kind of was a newbie, but he opened the box and Hayden, I think was his name.
And is this the box on the outside of your home?
Yeah, outside
where
of the
main
house.
line from Cox comes in.
Coming in, drops down, goes into the box. He does the test. He goes, what's coming in is perfect. So he opens up. We have two boxes. One where the cable comes in, and then I didn't really know what was in the second box. I mean, this may be for you guys like Do you know everything, all the boxes? Like, what's in all the boxes that are on the outside of your house? I didn't.
I probably couldn't either.
I had no
No.
idea. So the top box came in and had a little HBO filter on it, like that had been put on 22 years ago.
Oh.
That had never they never took it off in all the servicing they were doing. They never, even though I didn't have cable. So he took a picture of it and called some guy and like, oh yeah, that's ancient. Rip that thing out for sure. And then I said, what's in the box below? He looks at it. He's like, I don't know. It's not our box. And I'm like, let's open it. So we pop it open. Well, it was their box, and it was the line coming in and being split twice. Not once, but twice. So it came in, some splits went out to some wires in the house, which I've long removed
Right.
all of the cable inside the house and even on the outside. But it was being split twice. And then coming in, a line was coming in that was going to the modem. I said, "Can you take all that stuff out?" He's like, "You bet I can." He just, just seeing cables flying out of the right.
And that's what you like to see. Like, okay, sweet. The
Super,
simplicity is better in cabling every time.
yeah, super satisfying to have them.
Well, it's funny you say this though, because real quick, when I forgot to say this when I was talking about my thing, back when the Cox technician came out for me when I was having my issues, we did sort of the same thing. I know where my line, he looked outside. It is just one line in. We know exactly where that goes to my basement. We unplugged it from everything. Cause I'm like, I don't, without cable anymore, just come straight in from there and go into my modem. And then, but the same thing where he couldn't come into the house.
Yeah.
So he comes to the front door and he says, hey, put this thing behind your modem to the main line. And he had like made this kind of filtery sort of thing. Apparently he saw the levels outside, saw the levels my modem was getting, was like, okay, this little filter thing he made. So it's like this little attachment. It's got like 3 little bulbs in it, and he just custom made it, and I put it in there, and it fixed everything.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's weird how the cabling stuff is huge.
Yeah. No, right on.
But yours probably hadn't been looked at in forever.
No,
obviously.
It had not been. I've been trying to get a technician out for a long time, and I just never could get it done. I was always afraid you're going to pay that service fee or whatever. 100%. So I just kind of left it. Well, at this point, I would have paid anything to have him fix it. Like I was just so frustrated with my connection. So so he cuts it all out, and it basically gives me a direct line to the modem. And so we get it all set up, and I pull out my phone and I start doing speed tests, and it's okay, but it's not great.
Okay.
You know, he's like, I said, tell you what, let me go in and let me test it on the inside unwired.
Right.
Like I'm on my phone, we're outside.
Yep.
Let me just test it. So I go in, and again, I'm using the Omaha Cox server, and you talked about this a while back. And I had to admit to you tonight, because we were in prep for this. I was telling you the story, and you're like, dude, I talked about this.
Well, I don't know if I talked about it on the show. I think it was like in post show one time. It might have been on the show.
Well, then I don't
People
feel
in
so
chat
bad.
will have to say if they remember me telling this. But tell them, when you say use the Cox server, what do you mean?
Yeah, so there's a Cox Omaha kind of, it's speedtest.net.
Yep.
It resolves, the very first thing it resolves to is
it's Cox for all of us here in Omaha.
Yeah, and you think, okay, that's it's close. It's the right thing. I'm sure it's optimized.
Yep.
Right? I'm sure.
Should be. The
Don't
major
you,
internet service provider here should have a great connection, provide a great, accurate speed test.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Not so much.
Nope.
No, not so much. About half the speeds of what, especially up, was about half. Down was.
That was the problem. Yeah. Up for me as well.
Right.
It was the up that it was constantly telling me I had about 6 up, and then 30 was what I have and pay for, and it was the error. Real quick, I'll just mention, if you guys want to, speedtest.net is great. And I think what your solution was to switch the server in speedtest.net of where you were testing. You probably switched to a different provider here locally. The other one that I found that works just way better for me is fast.com. Okay. And fast.com, another speed test, and they use Netflix servers. So I don't know if it's provided by Netflix, if they use Netflix servers, but obviously they have bandwidth galore. Yeah. And what's crazy to me is I was doing a speed test, and the closest Netflix server to you and I right now is Kansas City. So still going 3 hours down the road, and was more accurate than the Cox servers that are here in Omaha.
Yeah, just kind of maddening. Like, how did I not?
The weird part about that, though, is like you and me were having different things. I wasn't experiencing any issues, but my speed tests were showing me I had issues. Right. You were actually having issues, and then your speed test was also saying it. So for me, my thing was more of a maddening, like, this should be perfect, and it's not. I don't have any issues right now, but why is my speed test so low?
Right.
I'm not paying for this sort of service.
Right. No, right on. Right on. Saturday morning during Ask the Podcast Coach, my up was fine. So everybody could hear me just fine. My video was fine. I could not hear Dave Jackson. So he was doing that,
Yeah.
and we asked the audience, like, "Hey, can you hear us okay?" And they're like, "Yeah, you guys are fine." But I was only hearing like every other word. You know how hard it is to podcast for an hour and a half
Yeah,
with
I do.
isn't
Last week.
I know, isn't
Yeah.
that terrible?
It was tough.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
you're trying to figure out the like if it's gonna come back for you. I don't want to make the story last too long. I don't know what
Right.
So you're trying to play gracious because you're in that situation too. You're the co-host, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to be kind of that, well, I'm
Yeah.
filling in, trying to help
No,
them
right
out,
on.
and
Yeah. Okay, do
so
I keep going? What do I make up? What do I do? Right.
yeah.
So, but I got off that call and I was a wreck. I don't know how you did it when I was doing it, but oh my gosh, I was kind of a wreck on Saturday morning. So we got it fixed, and then I pinged a server in Lincoln, I pinged a server in Kansas City. I was getting great speeds,
Hmm.
and things have been fine since. So the question is, do I now that I know, do I now order the DOCSIS 3.1
I wouldn't
modem
think
that I
so.
want? Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean, unless you plan on going, because I do know that the DOCSIS 3.1, really the benefits are, first of all, the biggest benefit is buffer bloat for
Right.
upload. If you're not experiencing an issue, there's a speed test out there. I think it's by DSL Reports. If you go to DSL Reports, Google it, speed test. They actually test your buffer bloat, and you can see it. Some routers take care of that for you. They try and help a little bit, but DOCSIS 3.1 modems really help with buffer bloat. I thought you needed a 3.1 for gigabit. Do you not?
You do,
Oh,
but I don't have
yeah.
gigabit.
You don't
I'm
have
on
yet.
their
So it'd
150
only be
plan.
if you ever wanted to, which I don't think you'd ever probably
Yeah.
need to. You probably don't need that much
No.
speed with just you and Sarah in the house.
And they offered me the 500 plan at
Yeah.
$5 more a month for the next year. And so I said, yeah. And then the modem I had didn't support it. So I was like, you know what? 150 is good enough.
Yeah.
It's $85. So it's the cheapest. It's their cheapest plan. Well, they have cheaper plans, but I could be on them. But for me, that one
It's
works.
going to change a lot once in our area. We do not have access to symmetrical up and down speeds. We don't have fiber to the home in Omaha, pretty much anywhere. They may be somewhere, but not where I live. I don't think where you live either.
CenturyLink's getting better, and
Are they getting
they
better?
are running fiber.
Around
Yeah.
here, they are not up to
Yeah.
speed. So, because I only pay for the gigabit tier from Cox, so I can get 35 up,
Right.
which is not a lot. If I
No.
had, I would take 100 down, 100 up. If I
Yeah.
had symmetrical,
No,
that would be
right. Right.
amazing. I just need a lot
Yeah.
of up speed,
Yeah.
and so I get the gigabit plan, which I do not need a gigabit down. Especially, we have a lot of devices in this home, but my boys are not at the age yet; they're not streaming stuff. I'm
Right.
sure when they do, it'll be
Right.
nice, but
Yeah.
yeah. So it's weird how you choose your plan, and a
Right.
lot of it for me right now is based on the upload speed.
No, totally.
I have
And
way too
totally.
much down and way too little up.
I need some room in the up, especially for work. Like I don't want that for now. Now I'll be going back into the studios. We have brand new studios opening at Gallup that during this pandemic they have been redoing, and
Yeah.
they didn't plan it that way. We just started doing work back in January. They said they'd be done in July. Then of course everything went to hell in March. And so I haven't been there to watch them every day. I'd probably be watching what they're doing, but so brand new studios going in, and I will go back to work to do those. But for these kinds of things, it's kind of nice to have a little buffer, a
It
little
is, yeah.
bit of over, kind of a little bit of bandwidth over to be able to do it right.
Well, especially for like the listeners of this show, probably a lot like us. For me, I have Plex going outside the home, right? So those are streams. That's upload speed. My backups going to Backblaze for my server. Those run at 10 a.m. every morning, and so there's a lot of times where that 35 can get saturated really
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
My gigabit's never getting saturated. The down is never, but up, it's very easy to start to saturate that pipe.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you hop on a Zoom call for work and it's garbly and you don't know why. You're like, well, it's because you got all this extra stuff going on in the background you don't really think about.
We've been hearing stories too of ISPs really cranking down during this pandemic because people came home and then have been kind of bandwidth hogs.
Yeah.
In both up and down. And so there's been some neighborhoods that have been penalized because they can't do it down to their systems aren't often built to do it down to the person. They can't throttle the person.
Got it.
They can only throttle the node.
Well, but what's interesting about that is one thing we mentioned last week on my end, and I know we got to get to the feedback at some point of the show. We're about halfway through.
We're good. We're good.
But was that so? Obviously, my modem from Cox was throttled down to 500 meg,
Right.
and then all of a sudden I switched to a different modem and I get my full speeds back. But what the tech told me was, oh yeah, 500, expect that. That's what they're really having to throttle people down. So I was like, okay, well, I get it. It's a pandemic. They're going to throttle us down. I swap out to an external modem and all of a sudden I'm back up to my full speed. So I don't know. I thought they could still control third-party modems because they can reset it for you.
Sure.
Because when they walk you through that setup of the new
Yep.
modem, they tell you they're going to send a reset
Yeah.
signal, and they can.
They can't.
But I don't know how the throttling obviously doesn't work on my third-party one because I have my full speed now.
Right.
Which is weird.
Yeah, I think
It's almost like, is it a story they're telling us? Like, yeah, we're throttling. No, because if you have our modems, we're going to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think they can do more than they say.
They can do a lot more than they say, I think.
I think they
Oh,
can.
yeah,
Well, the
for
good
sure.
news is everything's fixed. Ironically, we're here this week, but
Yeah.
we didn't plan this for that. But everything's great. There's a couple things in my life that kind of have to work. One is my car. Like I can't have it not working. Two is my internet.
Yep.
Like that doesn't work. Three is my power. And this week, not related to this, but I got an email from Lowe's and I've been super impressed with the way Lowe's has handled this pandemic, both the way they're supporting the community and especially the minority community and offering and doing some great things there, of course, with everything that's going on in the United States right now. Super impressed with some of the things they're doing. But they sent me an email and said, "Hey, we got these generators that are, and we'll give you $500 off." They're not. It was only $1,200 to begin with, so it's like $700, right,
deal.
for a 6,500 watt generator. And Sarah and I have been talking about those just as a backup. Like this is big enough it could run all my computers, and I could do now. The meat would thaw out, but I could run all.
Sorry, Sarah, you're not going to eat, but my computers are going to run like a dream.
I can
during all this.
I can do a freaking podcast. But powerful enough that it could easily run even all the computers, plus run the refrigerators and some of those kinds of things in the house. And we had a tornado that had rolled through. In fact, you had done some work.
You had some drone work on it.
You'd done some drone work out at the Harley Davidson dealership here 3 years ago or so. And then we'd had a major power outage about 8 or 9 years ago during the winter. That I just get super grumpy.
Yeah.
Like I get super grumpy when the power doesn't work. I cannot, and it's not about charging my phone. It just freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have power. So that actually shipped this morning from their distribution center in Wisconsin and will be here tomorrow. So super impressed. They're going to deliver it. It's free delivery right to the door. Like it was a pretty great deal.
It's a good deal.
So tomorrow, this weekend, I'm going to be
new project.
Running some Bitcoin.
Yeah, there you go. Off gasoline, which is super cheap right now.
Yeah. Although still probably not worth. Like I'm sure that's more expensive. I don't know.
Easily.
Maybe
easily.
I have to run. I'm going to run the calculations.
We'll just run the generator and see how much gas it cranks through.
Yeah.
And then you'll know per hour of this generator power how much gas am I using.
Take some GPUs out to the garage.
Yeah.
I
think this could be a fun little test thing.
Run some Bitcoin off the generator.
Yep.
So it'll be good. I think eventually I'm going to hire an electrician to come in and put in one of those bypass switches.
Big switch crank.
Yeah. So you can say which circuits that you want to use. We just have a few, not a big house, should be able to support a lot of it. We wouldn't use the oven. We wouldn't use the dryer in that kind of situation where we've lost power. Those are the two big energy hogs. Natural gas for the hot water heater, natural gas for the furnace. So I just need to run
the air conditioner takes a lot.
It would take a lot. And in that kind of scenario, though, you could cool the house down. When's the worst time not to have air? Night.
Yeah.
Right. So you could shut everything down, just run just the air conditioner off of it, and at least cool the house down while everybody's sleeping. So pretty excited about getting that. So that's coming as well. And then one more thing on just for you guys, Sprint this week offered free lines kind of forever. So
what do you mean?
So you can, if you're a current Sprint subscriber, you can start another line, bring your device, buy a device, whatever, free on your program. So
really,
now you have to. There's certain couple things you have to qualify. I think you have to have at least one line. I have two.
Yeah,
my daughter and I. And you pay the taxes on them. Like so, you pay the taxes and the fees.
It's a really good
deal. $30-$40 a month.
Yeah.
You can reserve the line right now. In other words, I could reserve it, pay the taxes on it, and still have it for free. Not put a device on it. As long as you have an active and valid account, they're going to honor that free line. You hate to say forever, but
right now they're saying for indefinitely.
That's what they're saying. They're saying it'll always be free. So kind of interesting. Just one of those kinds of things. Everybody's doing some different stuff, but that came across my Slick deals, and I thought, actually, Sprint reached out to me on that one. So they're doing some. They're doing some. I don't think I'm going to do it though.
Yeah, we need. for the real quick, since we're talking about that, I want user feedback. It's fitting for the user feedback show. If any of you guys are using something like Mint Mobile or some of those newcomers to the game, I know there's always been like Boost Mobile and some of those, like a true third-party internet-only like cell phone provider. Mint Mobile is something I've really been looking into, and there's a lot of people who are saying it's fantastic. And I pay for Verizon, and everyone knows Verizon is the most expensive for what you get. And like there are some of these, I think these new companies that are starting up are actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Sprint's always been a good deal.
Yeah.
Service here
Well, they're
wasn't always the
T-Mobile
best.
too now too, right? They merged.
Right.
T-Mobile and Sprint merged.
But yeah, if you guys are using like Mint Mobile and that, let me know. Send me a tweet or something because I've been really itching to my Verizon bill alone. I think is just for Hannah and I, my wife and I, is like $250 a month.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's unlimited, right? But they pretty much wanted everyone to move to an unlimited plan. And I guess that does include probably $60 worth of phone payments we're making right now.
Yeah.
But still, 180 is a lot for two phones.
I think I'm 140 for two phones on Sprint.
Okay.
Not paying for phones though.
Well, that doesn't make me feel as bad.
Yeah. No.
So it's only $40 more, but still $40 a month higher.
Yeah.
And the only thing is Sprint does not work down at the farm. So I couldn't switch to Sprint. Right. Verizon is
no T-Mobile because they're the same network now.
I don't know anyone who has T-Mobile.
Okay.
I had Sprint before, and I would go down there and I would have no signal.
No service down there. Yeah. Yep. Well, I probably won't do anything big. You know, it's interesting. I'm on an iPhone. Sarah's on the Android. That's weird. Like she's on a Pixel, and she's using Google Fi. My boys talked her into that. So
work well.
Yeah, it's been great for her.
Yeah.
So she's a big Fi customer, and it's on her account. She pays for that. So a couple suggestions on the generator came in the chat room. Mike, if you actually click on Joe's, I think. He said the one about they've already moved past. Yeah, he's suggesting.
Right
yeah, there we go. He's suggesting ethanol free, which we have a lot of ethanol in our fuels out here.
Yes, we do.
I need to go premium to do that. That's okay. Like for a generator, you're not running it that much. Great suggestion. I've been thinking about that. I also probably run it once a month. Just pull it out, run it for a couple hours, just run some stuff.
But Nebraska, we are very ethanol heavy gas.
Yeah.
You have to be premium if you want ethanol free.
Right. Yeah, you do for sure.
Yep.
And I'll probably spend some time trying to put a load on it and do some things just to kind of keep it. It'll be one of those things I'll pull out. It did cause me to get really oil change crazy, so I changed the oil in my mower. I changed the oil in my snow blower.
I do it in my mower more than I should.
Yeah.
And then John Big says you should definitely have a transfer switch installed. So much easier and safer.
Yep. So, just coming out. It's got a 240 in it, and you can just come right out of it and plug it into the transfer switch, and then make the necessary changes. When the power comes back on, it's going to run off the generator until you make that switch flip. It's just basically grid power on top, generator on the bottom.
You just crank it.
You just flip them.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and it can't be that. I'm probably looking at a couple $100 to get an electrician to come in and get that to put in. So be good. I'll isolate the circuits. So I'll figure, okay, what are the computers are on? What are the fridges are on? What's the furnace? What's the, those kinds of things. Those would be the circuits that get priority, and we'll mark that real well. I've got some messy wiring in the house.
Yeah.
So I got a mix of things.
Okay.
Garage door would be probably one you want to put on.
Yeah, for sure.
Put on the circuit so you can get that garage door open. So excited about getting that in. Okay, we could talk about all that stuff forever. Let's get some user feedback in here. First ever tried user feedback, and thanks for sending this in. Many of you responded to it. I realized, Mike, as I did this, I didn't really give clear instructions on what I was really looking for. It's actually okay that way. A lot of the feedback, I wasn't looking for just positive feedback, or I wasn't looking for love. I was kind of looking for, and I really wasn't looking for necessarily where we could do things differently. We got some of that, and that's cool. I kind of wanted to know what you're working on. I should have been clearer about that, and that's okay.
Right.
That's okay. Many of you guys got it. So Chris writes in, reasons to subscribe to the channel or enjoying listening to the recorded live shows covering interesting topics ranging from gardening to technical information. And we do. It's a variety, right? We spend a lot of time. One of the things he says, and I'll ask you this question, Mike, what do you look forward to, like, as you think about the next 6 months, when we think about gadgets, what are you looking forward to of stuff that's coming out?
Well, number one on my list by far right now is the next gen consoles for gaming. So I have recently, although I'm not, and I got into it more because I stopped streaming, because now I can just play for fun, casually. I have a bunch of friends who are playing the new Call of Duty. Been huge and back into Xbox, like probably almost every night. Been playing some Xbox, and so the new consoles come out this Christmas season, both the new PlayStation and the new Xbox, and man, they just look amazing. We're finally, this is the first gen consoles, Jim, that have SSDs in them.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're way behind. Consoles have been way behind.
I know.
Right?
That's
PC
crazy.
Master Race has been making fun of us because for the console side, and you guys know for me, I've been mixing up a little bit. I did a little bit of PC gaming. Xbox is easier for me because it's what my friends are on, so it's just honestly easier. Yeah, the graphics aren't as great, but man, these next gen consoles look amazing. We're going to be doing, it is not really confirmed yet, but probably 4K at 30 to 60 frames per second, right? Which is great because right now the Xbox I'm on is 1080p 60 frames, not even 144 or anything like that. So higher frame rates, SSDs. I think this is a huge jump. Everyone's calling it a very small jump, but I don't think everyone realizes the difference these little things are going to make going forward. And yeah, we're not going from like 720 to 1080. We're not making like a huge leap there, but just be able to do 4K gaming with SSD, all this stuff, I think it's gonna be amazing. So that's number one. I am super pumped. Can't wait. I can't wait to see the price, because that'll affect if I end up getting one on launch day. But I think I'm pretty decided that the new Xbox for me is going to be a launch day item, and probably the first launch day item I have done on any tech in a very long time. You guys know that way back when I used to open mic night, I was all into, I would wait and get the new iPhone. This is 3 years old now. Have no need to switch my iPhone. I haven't done any launch day tech in a very long time, so I'm very excited for the new consoles.
Yeah, I think I've been getting just into kind of I got this generator coming, and I may buy one of those. What's that orange box? Do you remember the name of that? That
Oh man,
you
yes,
install in
and it
your.
monitors all your electrical
Yeah, and I
stuff in
think
your
Kyle
house.
maybe did this, or somebody in the community did. And so I may start digging in now that I got this generator. Is current? No. Anyways, somebody in the chat room will let me know what that thing was. I think I'm going to spend some infrastructure time. Sense.
Sense,
Yeah.
Sense Energy.
Yep. And they're $300 or
Yeah,
so.
they're expensive.
And but I may spend some time kind of figuring out where things are going, and where the energy's going. And I have a car to buy this fall sometime. It's been delayed
Yeah.
just as we can with COVID and all those other things going on. So Chris, thanks for your email. I am tempted to go down. Always am tempted to go down to the Subaru dealership and just start talking.
Around,
Yeah, walking
looking,
around,
see what you can negotiate.
see what's kind of good. So
Oh
Chris,
yeah.
Chris from the UK, thanks for that. The next one, hi there, Jim and Mike. Thanks for doing Gadget Geeks for us week in and week out. I'm enjoying the variety of topics and themes that you're introducing these days. Sometimes I'm fully engaged, others not so, but no complaints. Yeah, no, right on. That's no pressure there. So Phil, thanks for that.
You mean you're not fully interested in every single topic we cover? How dare you?
Oh, you should be. No,
fully engaged all the time.
it's a battle sometimes, and thinking through, like, we do in the launch shows and they're real popular, but not everybody likes them.
Right. Yeah.
But we're going to keep doing them.
Yeah.
Because I like doing them, and that's all that really matters. So Phil, thanks.
Man, just throwing all the
Well, I've always been on feedback. I've always been that kind of way.
Well, you have to be, because you get feedback both ways, right?
Yeah, and I'm not going to do a show I don't like.
Right, exactly. You're always going to get the people who love it, and you get people who hate it. Literally, guys, every time there's feedback, positive feedback, I hated it on the same exact episode, same content. So you got to do stuff you love, that you enjoy, and you and I both love doing lawn stuff.
Yeah, no, and it's been a good year to do lawn stuff. I've been looking at robot lawnmowers again.
Really?
I have.
After all the talk we've been doing, that surprises me.
No, there's some really good ones out there, and there's a good one for like $800.
Okay.
Like, I knew the prices would start to come down,
and they have.
And apparently I have a $900 to throw away. By the way, I did buy on the generator. I bought the Lowe's plan. Like, I bought their 4-year extended warranty.
Okay.
I'm not normally an extended warranty kind of guy, but for something that I'm only going to use every once in a while that has a propensity to
give out,
go wrong. Yeah, I dropped the 150 bones.
Tajoski says, "It's the yawn show." See what I mean, guys? It's exactly what we're talking about.
Here's the deal, though. Twitter has lit up with pictures of people's lawns lately.
Right?
Well,
because we're all home now. It's the only thing we have to care about.
No, I like that. I love seeing your lawn on Twitter. Like, it's been. Yeah. We've gotten some good. Somebody asked me the other day on Twitter, like, how'd you get the line so straight? It's practice. Like, you gotta do those things. You got to do those things. In another piece of email, says I really enjoy the show and the mix of topics. That's the really common. And the guests you have on too. The live sessions are not timed well for me to participate in, but I always download the audio after the fact. The shows focusing on specific topics are always great. Unraid, barbecue, etc. Okay, it's beginning. When are we going to have the Omaha meetup? Okay, so
So here it begins. The questions on the Omaha meetup.
here it goes. When are we going to have the Omaha meetup? Barbecue, fly drones, talk about setups, tech topics, gear swapping or selling, whatever. The last meetup in Indianapolis will be 3 years ago this September. 3 years ago.
That feels like
Isn't that
just
crazy?
yesterday you were telling me about the last Indianapolis meetup.
Yeah.
Wow, 3 years.
It is crazy, and I've been saying for a long time, like, yeah, we'll do this. It's certainly with everything that's going on right now. No,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
we got to
Definitely not this year.
we got to get kind of clear of this stuff. Okay, but I do want to say to this, Mike, like, I do appreciate the grind, the reminder in a lot of ways of like,
Right.
because it to me it means there's demand.
Well, if you guys have been asking for it for this long, you're right. 100%. It means there's demand. It means there's interest. It means there's people who would actually show up.
Okay, point 3: survey the listener community, some feedback with weekly, and you're either in the weekly newsletter or on Discord or Facebook about PC and server backup strategy. Of course, that comes out of the home server show
Yep.
days. Very concerned about backup. Discuss the results. With the demise of the home server, I guess people are no longer doing many full image backups, just data. What are they using? Windows 10, built-in backup to network share, QNAP, Synology, PC tools, something that's cloud-based. Certainly, this is an area PC backup's gotten kind of quiet. Like, we don't, but there are more options to do it now. I mean, there's a lot of different options. I'm using a Cronus. What are you using?
Well, for me, it's not that the home server demise has stopped you from doing this. I think it's the cloud backup, or not backup, cloud document storage, things like that. The ease of downloading software again.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's almost quicker for me to just like flash a new Windows 10 image and install the few apps I used, sign into Nextcloud, sign into Google Cloud, whatever you use. There's all your docs. It's almost faster to do it that way than to mess with where's my backup, how do I get it back on here. It's almost quicker. The one tool actually I use, interestingly enough, I just did this yesterday. I moved my Blue Iris off of the iMac, so the iMac is no longer running Windows, because I had this extra Dell Optiplex box that wasn't doing anything, and I was like, well, I can Hannah kind of wants that Mac back upstairs so she can use it. Samsung has an awesome tool that they put out there just for people to migrate their stuff over to the SSDs they sell. It works perfect for doing any sort of just, I need to clone this and move it over. It is the easiest. Click two things. It's a free tool from Samsung. As long as you're using a Samsung SSD, which I was, to move to, then that moved it over. But yeah, backup is something we could definitely do a whole show on where we're at now.
Do we have a backup group in the Discord group? Is there just one dedicated to backup?
There's not. There's hardware. There's smart home. I don't think there's any sort of backup.
Kind of backup methodologies. That may be
we should add one there, and everyone can kind of talk about what they do for backup.
Yeah. AverageGuy.tv/Discord. If you want to join us in that, that'll take you right to the group, and you can jump in there. That may be one worth adding to see where it goes. Just kind of to see what happens with it. And did we?
I stopped all my full disk image backups.
Okay.
I do not do anymore. I back up a lot of my stuff to my Unraid box, and then that goes to Backblaze as far as documents. But I don't do any full image ones anymore.
And I'm putting a lot of stuff on that Moro data box that then goes to Backblaze B2 container there. I moved some of it to the Drobo, so I kind of have a local copy of it as well. I am doing some image backups for some other PCs, so I kind of have a hybrid solution.
Yep.
The backup is only as good as testing it, and I haven't tested them in a long time. Right. So, Jim Shoemaker, this is his comments from him. Good idea to maybe go in there. We'll think if there's enough traffic in the Discord group, kind of talking about that. By the way, you have another beer from John, and I see your beer gone.
Should I just go grab it right now?
Do you want to go?
Yeah,
just unplug. Don't forget to unplug your headphone. I'll keep reading on this from as well, so you can get that additional beer. Jim also says I'd like to hear a joint show with Josh and Richard from the DNC focusing on different setup implementations for Plex. There has been a lot. If you're not currently listening to Entertainment 2.0, you should be. They talk about Plex a lot. It's kind of where I get all my Plex information and a lot of different ways to do that, including unraid. And there's some concepts around, how do you rip it and what do you rip and what are we ripping and what are we doing? So certainly it'd be a good idea. I might have to reach out to those guys. Although I'll be honest, they do a pretty good job on their show of talking about that entertainment 2.0. I'd like to hear Jim. Also, he goes on to say, I'd like to hear a segment dedicated to car tech. So I'm going to come in and talk about pros and cons of Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, compared with built-in navigation systems and so forth. So I'm going to talk about dashboard cams, favorite sources for cables. What's your everyday carry? That's for you,
Yeah,
Mike.
that's my stuff.
Equivalent for in-car tech.
Yeah.
Like, what do you keep in your car? That's a
That's
great
a
idea.
huge one. Yep.
That's a great idea, Jim.
You
So
guys would be scared.
Yeah.
What I keep in my car.
yeah.
I'm ready for the apocalypse.
Yeah. What do you keep in your own car? Like, do you have any, like you've talked about everyday carry stuff for you.
Yep.
Do you have any everyday carry stuff in your car?
Tech related or
Yeah.
or just self-protection related? It's usually all self-protection.
Maybe I don't want to know.
No, I mean I carry a full trauma kit in my car at all times, strapped to the back of my seat. So and a lot of times, that stuff is usually you're not stopping a gun wound, people. You're helping a tummy ache or a headache. So I have a lot of aspirin in there, a lot of Tums in that trauma kit, and that stuff goes faster. I've never used the wound dressing, but I have used so many of the Tums.
When you say trauma, do you mean first aid kit? Is that what you mean?
It's a trauma kit.
Okay.
Different. They're different.
okay.
There's like actual shears for cutting off the clothing. There's wound packing, all sorts of stuff. So it's a little bit more advanced than a first aid kit. But yeah, that kind of stuff and everything. So I would love to do a what's in my car kind of show. It would be a lot of fun.
Let me say this. So for everybody listening to both the live and the recorded version, if you've got like Jim's got some great ideas. Shoot
Very good idea. I could, by the way, Plex is like, I could talk about Plex for days. We could do 3 shows. I consider myself a pretty much heavy user of Plex, and there's a lot of tips and tricks in there that I think a lot of people could benefit from.
I guess I have to reach out to Josh and Richard and see if I can get them on. But if you're a specialist in this area, we'd love to hear from you. So send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. If you've got something to say, maybe we could create some roundtable shows around these kinds of things. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be a perfect get 3 or 4 on at a time and kind of work through some of this. So that'd be super cool.
That car tech crosses my interests, right? I'm a big tech guy. I'm also a big like self-defense, home defense guy. And that would be a perfect segue show for me to finally have with all this stuff.
I think I'm never going to pick a fight with you ever.
Well, no, I mean, you probably could. You're a lot bigger than me. So
well, that's fatter maybe, but
small guys have to compensate in other areas.
I got you by about 50 pounds, maybe more. But
you have some height on me though. You're a tall guy. You don't realize it until we stand up. You're a tall guy, and I'm not a tall guy.
I always keep that camera pointing down. People think I'm a lot shorter.
I know. That's literally every time we get together. I forget how tall you are. Because I'm not the tallest. I'm 5'10", so I'm not the tallest guy.
Yeah. I got a little girth. The Jim also goes on to say, I think a segment about hiking would be interesting. Do solar batteries recharge? Those rechargers work well enough to even bother with? Those are the ones you would put out. You get someplace, you put them out in the sun, recharge your phone or whatever while you're hiking. Should I work with them? Cell phone range extenders, waterproof device bags. Erin Lawrence, we'll get her back on here as we go into the fall. She's been doing a lot of stuff with van life, and she's been doing a lot of solar stuff. So we'll get her on there. But if you've got an area, if you're listening to this and you're doing some of that, let us know. Waterproof device bags, maybe another community survey opportunity, Jim says to me. And then last but not least, and by the way, this feedback I got from Jim Shoemaker was perfect. This is kind of what I was looking for.
Okay,
so
perfect.
So he says, I thought a show with Jim's daughter as a guest, Sammy, who's been on before, was very interesting and would really like to hear a follow-up to the segment. So Jim, we've scheduled Samantha for a 7:30 July 30th.
I agree. She's a rock star.
She's pretty great.
Like, you always give Hannah compliments, and they're the people that I don't know about Sammy, because you've told me, what are you talking about Sammy? He's like, she's always kind of nervous to be on the show. Same thing with Hannah, and then they just come on and kill it.
I know.
And you and I, who do this every week, we get shown up by the people who are so nervous and have never done a podcast. They're just so relatable. They're honest. They're sincere on the show. I loved when we had her on. I thought she was one of the best guests we've ever had.
Yeah, she's coming back July 30th. 2020 so she'll be on. I said, hey, would you come back again? She's like, yeah, heck yeah.
Is that next week?
No, July 30th.
2 weeks.
July 30th. July.
Oh, July 30th. Sorry.
Yeah, month and a half.
It's quarantine. What day is it? What week is it?
She'll be getting ready to go back to school. Northwest has announced that they're going to be in person.
In person?
In person.
Are they ending at Thanksgiving break?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Creighton's doing the same thing.
That's super smart, by the way.
Agreed.
You
Yeah.
know, don't
Like they
don't send
know that
anybody
this.
home to
Yeah.
get the virus
Right.
and then bring it back to school
Yep.
so that it can go back out. Like
Right.
that's ridiculous. So, Jim's suggestion: invite her to give her favorite Pokemon Go tips and tricks as part of it. She crushes Pokemon Go. So, and she's gotten into D&D. So that'll be kind of cool. She's been watching um, Critical Role, which is a
Okay.
big D&D podcast, and then she's gotten in a D&D group with my son, with my middle son, and they're playing D&D every Friday or Saturday night over the
That's
weekends.
super cool.
Yeah.
Hannah and
So,
I were into Dice Masters, which is another kind of that card dice game, and
mhm.
man, we have a blast with it.
Jim Shoemaker, thanks for that feedback. I appreciate that. Let's see the next
I think
one.
Ron would be down for a car show. He says that he has a bug out bag with his radio gear, ready to run and go. And I'm the same way. My ham radios are part of my bag. I have one in my car. Obviously, they're always ready to go. And because ham radio is a big thing for that kind of stuff. Just
Yeah.
kind of being able to be out in the if things happen, you're out in your car. Ham radios are a great way to go. So
Yeah, maybe
there's
come
so much tech you could talk about with things you take in your car.
do a round table and you just talk about what's in your car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, super easy. Jim at theaverageguy.tv. If you want to join us, as soon as I get enough people who want to do these kinds of topics, I'll start a list. And as we jump in there, as we get enough, we'll do a roundtable.
Yeah,
We'll
I
throw
like
that
it.
in there. Yeah, it'd be good. Brandon sends me a note. Jim, thanks for the episode. I have a couple pieces of feedback. First, I've already mentioned to Jim in live chat, but I work for a large school district information systems department. And at the beginning of the pandemic, our help desk was getting slammed with calls about how to do things for teachers and parents. I'm one of the Azure admins, and the director came to me and said, "You seem like you know a lot about this. What would it take to make a bot that ties into our knowledge base? And would it be possible to voice enable it?" Wow, that's pretty.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool.
So it played around with a little bit, and after your episode with Dwayne Robinson, not just remember we had Dwayne on, and
Yeah.
we meant to talk about something else, and Dwayne went into what he was working on. Not much more. Let's see. So he's played around with a little bit after Dwayne's episode. Played around with a little bit after your episode with Dwayne. Not much more than a hello world type example, but I pulled it up and showed him the basics. Told him that our developers could do it in their sleep. He laughed a little bit, but he said he'd spent hours looking up the information the night before and should have just waited to ask me. Right? Isn't that a great feeling when that kind of happens?
Definitely.
Second bit of so it's super cool that Dwayne, of course, brought on that time. We didn't even anticipate him doing that. And of course, Microsoft's doing some really cool things around bot development. So Dwayne will be back. He's a regular. We'll have to catch up with him as well. Second bit of feedback ties into the first. I love the fact that you're a variety show. In my circles, I'm the tech guy. I think everybody, you got to be the tech guy
Somewhat.
or the
Yeah,
tech
that
gal.
guy. If you listen to this show, you are that guy.
I don't know if we have
If
any
you don't
tech
know
gals.
it yet, you are.
I don't know if we have any tech gals. I never heard.
I don't know.
Love to hear from
maybe.
them. Jim at theaverageguy.tv.
Yeah, let us know.
If you're a tech
We've got
gal.
some awesome tech gal hosts who have come
No,
on
right
and just
on.
killed it.
Yeah, right on. In my circles, I'm the tech guy, and it doesn't matter that I work on routers or firewalls all day long. They still ask me about everything. Listening to your show keeps me well-rounded in tech. I hear that a lot, actually, from folks I get feedback on. I may not be an expert in virtual assistants, but I know the basics. I may not have a Traeger, but I live in Utah, and that is a big culture here. So it helps me be able to chat about it with my in-laws.
You can talk the talk a little bit, right? I'm the
Yeah.
same way. This podcast has kept me apprised of all that stuff, and a lot of times it's just being able to talk the talk a little bit. Agreed.
Brandon goes on to say the current bane of my computer setup is my graphics card or lack thereof. I'm using the built-in Intel stuff, which is super common and it works. I added that part. So here's a question for you. When it comes to bang for the buck and expected longevity, which card do you get? I don't mind spending a couple $100 if it will last me a couple years. So a wish list also a wish list item is a quiet card since it could go in the computer that I podcast from.
Yeah.
So Mike, what are you thinking?
Well, bang for the buck wise right now, I think the biggest probably, entry level that you would actually want to be to get into right now is what I got into, which is the 1660 Super. And the reason I say that is because the 1660 Super is built on the new Turing architecture. So you have that new architecture. You don't have the tensor cores that the 20 series cards are on. and I should admit up front, I am not. I know there are a lot of new AMD cards that are competitive to this. So do your research. I'm probably only going to give the NVIDIA side because I needed NVIDIA for a lot of other reasons. Um, but 1660 Super gets you into that Turing architecture. You don't get tensor cores, but you're at least there with the new architecture. So if you're doing any sort of streaming, the NVENC codec is using all the new architecture. But what I would really suggest is if you can spend the money, I would probably say a 2070. And whether that's a 2070 Super TI, whatever, Radio 2070, I think the 2070 is probably the sweet spot. 2080 is a fantastic card, but a little bit overkill probably for most people. What we need, I would not call a 2080 bang for the buck. 2070, I probably would for the type of performance you're going to get and the longevity you're going to get out of it. But I think the 1660 for a lot of people, I mean, if you are not looking to heavily game on this thing, you just want something that is up to date as of now, ready to go. I think is a great card. Quite a bit cheaper than the 2060 even or the 2070, and I think is a pretty decent card. So I would say either go 2070 or 1660. I would skip the 2060. I don't really see any reason not to. Maybe some of you in chat would disagree with me there, but I don't. I think it's either the 1660 or the 2070. People forget the 1660 even exists.
Yeah, price point on that 1660. Would you pay
I
for
think
those?
probably around. Oh man, 300.
Okay,
260 to 300.
I think that's in the right price range.
Right. Yeah. I should look it up now. 1660. Let's just get a and definitely go with the super. I think the super is better than the TI.
And we bought so the generation before that, we bought 1060s when we were not we.
Oh, cheaper, 239.
Okay.
For a gigabyte 1660 super, 239. That's a great price.
Yeah.
Because we were buying
Right.
what?
279.
1060s?
Yeah, when we were buying the 1060s
Right.
for the mining. And that was kind of the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Those were like I could get them for on sale 215, 230 somewhere in there. So I think this is in that same price
It's
range.
right in the same price point. Now you're not going to get the other thing you won't get is ray tracing. Because it's not an RTX, right? It's not that 20 series card. It's a 1660. So you get the new architecture, but you don't get a lot of the other benefits. But that's why it's so cheap. That's why it's $239 compared to some of the other prices.
2060s. Where are they starting these days?
I would say around $350, $400. And Kirshner brings up a great point in chat. He says the 20 series cards are hopefully going down in price soon because the 3000 series cards are coming out, which is a great point too. So they're going to be, I think this will all change here in a few months. And again, you really need to give a good look, depending on what you're trying to do. Give a good look at AMD as well. They have a lot of great competitive cards that are doing really well in this space. Obviously, NVIDIA has always been kind of the leader here, but AMD is coming in too with some great cards.
They are, and it's worth kind of checking into around. But that price point, that kind of 250 to 300 price point, usually gets you in a pretty good spot. I have 4 1060s. I never got rid of them. Like we're the opposite. You buy and sell.
Buy and sell.
I hold on to everything forever. And they've recently just gone into computers just to be video cards, and they're great. They're just great cards.
Depending on the frame rate of what you need for even gaming, I'm able to game at 1080 on the highest settings on a lot of games and be totally fine. Now I'm not getting 144 frames per second at those super high settings. I bump, like for example, Call of Duty. I bump down just a little bit, and I can still run it and get 144 frames per second, 1080p on that 1660 Super at whatever it is, high, not extreme settings, but high on most, turning down a few settings there. So as far as gaming wise, it's perfect. And then I actually threw what did I have? I think I had a 1060 before that I threw an Unraid, and that is now just my Plex transcoder.
Yeah.
And that card is perfect for that. And I tell you, Unraid has made it super easy. We talked about it on the past show with kind of integrating that. It's supported-ish, but works great as a little card for that machine.
You've been working on the Unraid 6.9 beta?
I have not yet, no. 6.9 is not out of beta yet.
Right.
I just checked today to see. And so, no, I'm not playing around with it too much. I will be once it's released, but no, I'm not playing with beta. I have so much running. I've realized I used to run beta on everything. And like Nextcloud, I do run the beta of Nextcloud, but I started to realize that my Unraid box controlled a lot of my life. My password manager, all my documents. I don't use any external Dropbox, Google. It's all my self-hosted for Nextcloud. I mean, everything is on my Unraid. I am no longer in the position to be able to run beta software I need it to be pretty much rock solid, because when that goes down, when you start to get texts from your wife, you know that you run mission critical software. Because if she's like, hey, I can't access my Nextcloud from work, I'm like, oh, sorry, it's because it's down. I'm working with stuff. That's not acceptable anymore.
No.
One of
No.
the drawbacks of self-hosting everything. But yeah, so I'm still on 6.8.3, which is the latest on Unraid right now.
It's like when you host stuff for family. We'll get John back when I asked him if when they released it, if they come on the show, we'll let him go through the release and get him. We'll give him a couple months.
Yeah,
have them back on, have Unraid back on. But Brandon, thanks for that feedback. That was great. Appreciate that. Great to see you on Saturday mornings as well on Ask the Podcast Coach. Brian sends us a note. He says, I've been a listener of the podcast viewer for the show for a couple years, always learning something new every time. I've been a follower of tech news, but I've never had as much confidence to do tech updates as I have after listening to the show.
That's
right?
awesome.
That's pretty great. So I appreciate that. It
I wonder if
does
this
help.
is Brian F from chat, because Brian, I think you just said take care. I think you just hopped off the live, but I wonder if it's the same Brian.
Could be.
Could be.
One, I didn't put I just put first names in here because I didn't ask for permission.
Got it.
I was keeping them fairly anonymous. One example is adding smart devices to my home. When I started what started as one Echo speaker has grown into 4. Yeah, I
know how that goes. Yeah.
5 plugs, a power strip, 2 light bulbs, 2 Ring cameras, a Ring doorbell, something I would have never ventured out to without a show building my confidence. So Brian, thanks for
awesome.
That's great to hear. Like,
yes, it is. That's our job. That's what we're here to do.
Yeah, but it's also my experience. Like, I am not the greatest tech guy. I'm not the smartest guy around these things. I get great confidence from people around me doing these things. You try some stuff, and then once you've done it, I kind of jump into it.
Yeah.
Like that's
and vice versa as well.
Yeah. Yep. My next tech adventure involves getting some use out of some old hard drives that I have laptops that I no longer use. Well, I don't use the laptops. I'd like to use those hard drives to store backup copies, occasionally access the data, etc.
Yep.
I should mention that my main machine is now a Chromebook, and I use an iPad 6th Gen and an iPhone SE 2020 edition. I'd like to learn how to read, write to the drives over a network. So back to Jim's question about maybe having some backup.
Yeah.
Like, we all assume we know what we're doing.
We do. And this is one of those scenarios where, Unraid, the software, is so affordable right now. There's no rule that says that your home server needs to be some super redundant, reliable machine.
Yeah.
If he has a bunch of hard drives in here, use Unraid as the OS, throw them into like a Dell Optiplex with a bunch of weird connections to get all your drives plugged in. Those drives are old, probably slow, not going to run well. But Unraid, the OS, just gives that the capability to now be a share, really easy. So there's things like that. You can have a lot of fun with stuff like that. I play around with stuff like that all the time. I'm constantly, I talk about my made Unraid box. I've built probably 12 different Unraid boxes since then because I have so much fun creating I could just throw some really old drives in here, and this could be like a off-site redundant. I'll put it at my parents' house, right? There's a lot of fun you can have with that sort of stuff, and I'm glad that we're giving you guys that kind of confidence to have fun with it, play with it, break stuff. That's when it gets fun.
Right on.
You and I got so bored with crypto when we stopped breaking shit. And you know what I mean? Like, we used to break stuff all the time.
We did.
And then when we stopped, we're like, oh, it's kind of got boring.
This is boring.
It just works.
Just running.
Yeah, no, it isn't running.
It
was so much better when it broke.
Ken and I have been running Burst. We still run Burst.
Yeah.
In all about 1 million variants of it.
How many terabytes do you have in that right
I think
now
I'm down to 87.
Because you've been slowly paring it down.
I did have an 8 terabyte die on me and some of those. So 87, and Ken's feedback's coming up here. He talks about this a little bit, but it sometimes it does get a little boring. It's been good during the pandemic for it to be boring and just for it to work because I haven't had a lot of time to mess with it. Brian goes on to say, I'm a complete novice in this area of backup. Well, it's okay. Like this, you're in the right community, and I appreciate any tips, recommendations to websites. Mike, you just kind of did that right now. Affordable methods, which Unraid is a perfect way to get in. There is a license fee associated.
There
with
is,
Unraid.
but the thing about it is, because the other option that most people say for a cheap way to go is FreeNAS, but FreeNAS doesn't let you just throw in a bunch of really old, randomly sized drives and make the best of it. Whereas Unraid is like, give us what you got and we'll let you use it. Right. That's what I love about it.
Yeah. No, easy to use. I mean, I got it working. So I got it working on an old Core i3 box from like 1 million years ago.
And if you don't have one of those old boxes, literally Facebook Marketplace, at least here in Omaha, is flooded with $25 to $40 Dell Optiplexes that people are trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
They're those old machines, but they work great. It's a Core i3. our i5, like 2000 series i5 and second gen i5 or i3, and those things work great for Unraid. Like I have a stack of those. I'm ashamed to admit, I like every time I see one on Facebook, I'm like, oh, that's $25. That could be an Unraid box, and so I buy them, and then they just stack up in my basement. And I make routers out of them or whatever. Because I also use Dell Optiplex. That's what's running Untangled. That's my router that we're talking on right now.
Right.
It's a Dell Optiplex, a super cheap one, and it works just great.
And they're cheap.
They're
Like
so
if you
cheap.
don't have a piece of hardware to do it on, sometimes ask family if they have old computers that are sitting.
Yes.
Right.
Post on Facebook. Hey, any of you guys have those old computers that are sitting around? I could just take off your hands, repurpose them, do a PF Sense box, Unraid router box. Grab one of those and just use that as your test bench, your play around box. You can put anything on there. I've done that a million times. It's so much fun. I just fired one up for Blue Iris. We talked about earlier. I switched my totally Blue Iris over to an old Dell Optiplex that works perfectly. It runs Windows well enough to just be my Blue Iris security camera software for 9 HD cameras, and it worked great.
Yeah. Ask family, because oftentimes they don't know how to recycle it.
They don't.
Right.
You can like, take that, please.
Could you just get out? It's collecting dust.
Right.
Yeah. Ask family. That's a great way to do it. So Brian, thanks for that feedback. Appreciate those questions coming in. I mentioned Ken a second ago, and Ken said, "Hey, Mike and Jim, I just wanted to thank you for keeping Home Gadget Geeks and Home Tech before that going strong. In the past 10 years, I've had many projects inspired by conversations on the show. So have we, ranging from home servers to router software such as pfSense, Sophos, Untangled, to my
favorite
current
things to talk about.
Yeah, to my current obsession of almost 3 years, crypto mining. I can't believe it's been that long already. We can't either, Ken. That's pretty crazy. I'm still going strong with about 45 terabytes mining burst, BHD, and its derivatives, and about 12 terabytes of storage, or storage, as we like to call it.
Yep.
Data space used. Needless to say, this show has inspired countless projects, and with its many late nights of tinkering and troubleshooting. That's the fun, right?
Well, I'm really glad to hear them say that, because I feel so bad, Jim, because how notorious am I for starting a project, telling everyone about it, and then the next week we're on the show like, I ditched that project.
I know.
So I'm glad you guys don't take me too seriously, and hopefully it lets you tinker like I do. Maybe some of you are like me. We tinker, we get all set up like, well, that was fun. Now let's tear it back down.
Yeah.
Let's do something different.
But there are some who take that as inspiration,
and
then they go all in.
Totally.
They go all in. And they become experts.
Ken with the mining, right? He took that, and he is now the expert in that area, I would say, in our group.
Yeah. You dropped out after about 2 days.
I was there for a while.
Sort of. Whatever.
Yeah.
The wealth of information and diverse backgrounds in our community members, combined with all-around willingness of members to assist and contribute whenever possible, is truly unique. Okay, that's enough. Congratulatory backslapping.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I didn't say that earlier in the show,
right?
Because I wanted to save it for Ken. That goes back to an old home server show reference. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Ken.
I'm just glad you guys don't ask me for legal advice. This is the one I get to get away from my day job and not be a lawyer and talk about the fun stuff. So I'm glad I don't have to use my expertise, and I just get to be the dumb guy who gets to listen to all you people. All you smart tech people.
No, really, there's like way smarter people
in the Discord.
Than us. Oh my god,
so many.
Yeah,
like I have learned a lot from you guys. It's funny, we learned so much from you guys in the Discord, from your comments, from your suggestions, from your emails, and it gets me through a lot of my projects.
Yeah, if you're new. You're new to Home Gadget Geeks and you didn't listen to Home Server Show before that.
He said congratulatory backslapping.
That was show 100 of Home Server Show. Okay. And John Zadler and I think maybe Chris still there? I can't remember. We gathered a whole bunch of positive feedback for Dave because, in those days, 100 podcasts was a big deal.
Yeah.
Now we're 450. So, but
I never made it to 100 on open mic night, by the way.
That's okay. It's okay. It was good.
Made it to like 70 or something.
It was good. It was good. Suit and Scrubs? How many Suit and Scrubs did
4? You No, I think we got like 6.
You got quite a few. No, more than just 6?
I don't know.
I
can't remember.
I don't either. I just enjoyed it.
It was a good. Yeah, it was fun.
I like listening to Hannah, and I love it when she calls you Michael.
Oh, when I'm in trouble.
I know.
It's usually on the podcast I'm in trouble.
It's so great.
Yeah.
Last one comes from John, and a longtime listener, good friend. He says, based on Home Gadget Geek show, and help from the Discord group, I selected components to build an incredible Unraid box. So, like John is one of these. He's the opposite of you. Like he actually stays with it for a
Right, and
while.
goes all in.
He does. Yeah, he doesn't do anything kind of halfway. He's
No.
in all the way. In fact,
He's
waits.
not using eBay stuff. Let's just say that.
No. He waits. He plans it. He
Yep.
thinks about it. He plots it out.
Everything you just said.
I get notes from John about, hey, this is my unraid build weekend. And I'm like, okay,
I love it.
yeah, no, that sounds great. So, John, I've always appreciated John's feedback. I hear from John all the time. We chat instant messenger all the time, and it's just been good. He's that's for me the best part of podcasting are the relationships like I have with you or I have with John, and I think name everybody in the chat room, just the folks that we get to have relationships with. So that's pretty cool. John goes on to say, I also bought and installed 2 Ring cameras. I think a few of those went in. I'm thinking about a third for the back.
Are you really?
I am.
Floodlight cam?
It'd be the right thing to do.
It would be.
That'd be the right thing to do.
Should do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's actually
my buddy just installed one too, and so he moved into a very old house, great house, but old house in this old part of Kansas City, and he's like, you want to know what they did for the wiring? And he like sent me a picture, and like the guy had gotten super lazy and just like spliced it, and he wrapped it electrical tape that was sitting like in his between 2 2x4s.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I don't think that's up to code. I'm like, no, yeah, I don't think it was either.
I found some wiring in my house. They did a lot of jankety things too. And instead of going through the 2x4, they just went around it and then just put plaster.
That's like how I would do it.
And no shield. And so I was drilling for I was drilling to get a, what's he going to put in? It's going to put a screw in for the microwave. And I hit that thing and a flame shot out right past my face. Just, whew. And
this is why there are rules, people.
That's why we have code. Yeah, that's why we have code. Yep. So, yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to do the floodlight cam in the back because it's powered back there and it's also shaded back there. And so, putting a solar panel back there, man, the setup I did, the stick up cam with
works well.
Oh my god, like awesome. Now
really?
That's not. I should have bought a stick up cam. Yeah. I mean, I should have bought a
floodlight cam.
But not knowing that, I kind of pieced that thing in.
Yeah.
But it's been rock solid. It has not been below 98% power since I put that thing in. Yeah. No, that's that solar panel from Ring is legit. Mm-hmm. Like it's super great. So this weekend, John continues. He says this weekend, I hope to do the Ring Doorbell 3. So John, good luck on putting that in. And with that, I'll say I appreciate everybody who sent us the feedback and kind of fun, right?
It was a lot of fun.
Just a variety show. You learn anything on it?
Well, I learned you guys like me. That's good. Us.
It's good to be liked.
Yeah. I was worried I switched things up on you guys too much. So it's good to know that we have a lot of topics that are good. Jim and I talk about this stuff a lot. And you guys probably don't know that, but probably at the end of every show, we're always talking about, what kind of topics, should we keep the variety? Should we not? Should we do this? Should we do that? And so it's always good to hear your guys' feedback, and it's good. And I think we got actually a lot of good ideas on future shows, what we can do. Really, 2 things I learned from that. I would love to do a Plex show. Like I love to do a Plex show. And I would love to do a car tech / what you have in your car. Either, I've actually switched. Most people have a bug out bag. I have a get home bag. I would rather get home than bug out. My home is much more safe than anywhere I'm going to bug out to. So I think we'd have a lot of fun with that.
I learned tonight, don't be a rabbit around your house because
that's true.
That's not safe.
Jim did learn to not be a rabbit. We don't take kindly to rabbits around these parts. So.
Well, so we got some good roundtable ideas coming up, and we appreciate your feedback. If you want to be a part of one of those roundtables or you have an idea, just send me your idea. If you have the idea, I kind of want you to be on the show. So not necessarily you have to be, but that'd be nice. Jim at theaverageguy.tv, we'll start throwing some roundtables. This is actually something I thought of back in January, and then just never really COVID hit, and I just never really got it started.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so we'll get some topics going. Mike, you've been podcasting with me for 5 years.
5 years.
5 years now. Getting together tonight, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to say thank you to you for the work that you've done.
Thank you. I love it. This is
I bought you
blast.
I bought you a little thank you gift on the way in. It's my favorite.
Oh, man.
It's my favorite. And so it's some Jeffersons. So
look
a little
at that.
whole, like that is gold, by the way. That is
Look at
pretty great.
that.
I think you're gonna
We're gonna have to. Well,
you're gonna
you're gonna have one of these with me
of
after the
course,
show, right?
of
Okay,
course.
good. Because this is thank you, guys. You guys, Jim, we've had so much fun over 5 years. You know, it's a used to be a joke between Hannah and I, but it's not a joke anymore. This is the longest I've stuck to anything, by the way. Like honestly, 5 years. Besides maybe the sport of soccer as a kid, I have not done anything for 5 years.
Yeah.
It's longer than anything I've done, longer than any hobby I've had, and it's just because I have so much fun with you, Jim, with the people here. You guys keep me engaged all the time. Love you guys in Discord. So thank you. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I love coming every Thursday.
My favorite bourbon.
This is amazing.
And it's pretty great.
I'm super
Jeffersons
excited.
makes a couple different varieties of that, and so I swung by Hy-Vee on the way in today, and I thought I got to get Mike his own bottle.
Thank you
but
very
but
much.
thanks for
Yeah.
you know it's hard to find people who will show up almost every week.
Yeah.
Like you take some time off.
I
And
do. I
it's
try.
and it's great though.
Yeah.
It always works.
If it's in my control, I'm going to be here.
It's super hard to find people who would give 5 years of their time to show up on Thursdays to do this crazy thing we call podcasting. You know, and so I appreciate you and
well, thank you.
and the work that you do. And no, it's good to have you on. Thanks for doing that. Couple reminders on the way out for folks that are listening. Of course, send me an email if you're interested in any of these things. This feedback show is kind of fun. This maybe has to be an annual.
I think
an annual thing. You have to remind me
for sure. If not semanual, this is fun.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you can always send us your feedback. Like that doesn't, and I'm not looking for good feedback. Like we look for opportunities, things that you want to listen to. Can't always do it all, and I'm not going to always do it all, but we might, and it may be a great opportunity. And so send it in. Jim@theaverageguy.tv. Always appreciate that, and I think some people always feel like when podcasters are looking for feedback, they're looking for that congratulatory backslap.
And we're not. No.
Well, we kind of are. I mean, it's kind of nice.
A little bit. I mean, we do like it. Yeah.
It is kind of nice.
If you want to tear one of us up, go ahead and do that too.
But no, I don't want any other negative feedback.
No, okay,
no, I'm not interested. Keep your opinions to yourself. But if you do,
if it's positive, send it in.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Because nobody really likes to hear negative feedback. Like they don't.
I'm kind of weird, Jim. I think I do.
Oh, do you? Okay.
There's reasons why we don't need to get into now.
Well, you can send it to Wieger if you got
send
negative
me the negative feedback. DM me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter.
One of the, of course, one of the big supporters of the podcast over the years has been Christian Johnson. Yeah. And Christian getting married this summer, and man, it's been 12 years or 11 years with him, and of course we appreciate the work that he does. And he kind of hosts and runs this, runs the back end of everything that we do here at Maple Grove Partners. So if you're interested in getting high speed, reliable hosting, right, and getting it local in the sense that we know him, him and Gary are great partners in what they do. MapleGrovePartners.com. Plans start at $10.
And he's so fast. So Jim, I wanted to switch. I have a website hosted with him that I actually had another harebrained idea. I want to switch it over, and he was so fast. I still haven't done my part of switching it over because he was way ahead. I was like, I thought this was going to take a while. And I mean, this was months ago, and I'm still in the planning phase of what I want to do next. And he was like, next day, yep, hey, you're all switched over. You need to do X, Y, Z on your end. And I'm like, cool. That was really fast. Yeah. I was not expecting to do that. He's always on like his support. And I did his support through an email through his website. So his Maple Grove website, you can do a ticket for your website. Yeah. And he like this.
Oh, he's so fast.
So fast. Great service. Super fast website. Yeah. That thing just runs like a dream.
Yeah. Sundays 3 a.m. That might not be the best, the fastest, but he'll get back to you pretty quick.
Yeah, right.
He'll get back to you pretty quick. So Christian, appreciate you and all that you do. Been a good friend for such a long time. Big congratulations to him for, I think he's getting married here in the end of July. Hopefully all that'll get put together. Like I don't know how that's going to happen. Yeah. I was really hoping to go. I don't think I'm going to be able to fly at that point, but Christian, thanks for all the work that you do. If you want to join us on Discord, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. I mentioned the email address, Jim@theaverageguy.tv. I'm pretty quick at getting you back to you that way. HomeGadgetGeeks.com. If you want to join us, if you want to download that app there, easiest way to listen to us on the road and streaming. That app does that as well. I don't know if I'll have that forever, but we appreciate our Patreon supporters for the work that they do there. We are live every Thursday. How are we doing on time? Oh, this is perfect.
Oh, great.
We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv live. Next week, we are back in our studios with Dave McCabe, and Dave will be back to talk about summer lawn care. And I'm pretty pumped. Like I'm
I
pretty
am too.
pumped.
I need this stage now because I'm getting brown spots. I don't like it, Jim. This
Everybody
heat is killing my lawn.
Everybody thinks they're good in the spring.
Yes,
like,
it looked
oh,
amazing.
my lawn care.
I never have to mow anymore because it doesn't grow.
No, I know.
The heat has been insane here.
I know. It's been, and the summer separates the men from the boys or the ladies from the women or whatever.
So gentlemen, or everyone, join in next week so you can make sure you stay ahead of the curve and you are not the guy with the destroyed lawn this summer.
No, right on. Because now is the critical time.
Like, it is. Spring's easy.
If you don't get it now in the fall, you're screwed.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So Dave will be on to talk about that, and it's super important. So we'll have you join us live next week. Ryan Kirshner coming on the week after that. Paul Breran after that. Jay Madison is back, and excited to have Jay on. Daniel J. Lewis, who normally is on the podcasting side, is going to come in and talk about lighting, which is super cool. He did some really fancy lighting setups, so we're going to have him kind of come in and talk about that.
Audacity to podcast. I couldn't remember that earlier.
Audacity
is he still
to
doing
podcast.
That?
He is.
Okay.
He is. Yeah, big podcaster. Him, Dave
I know
Jackson.
He stopped for a little bit. So
that's in that. That's in my podcasting bubble.
Right. Exactly. If you're a podcaster, you know Daniel J. Lewis.
You do. Yep. Yeah, he does a lot of great work. And then Sammy comes back. So Samantha will be on here coming up on the 30th of July.
Yeah.
So we are live every Thursday, almost every Thursday, and a lot of Thursdays coming up here. I am taking a break August 6th. My mom turns 90, so I'll be headed out to Colorado Springs to see my mom. I'm super nervous about it because it's COVID. She's in the she will
you
not
go to see her.
Oh yeah, she's not going to be thwarted on this party. She is having this party.
Okay,
and we are coming. We have been told you will come. Like
when mom says you do something, you do
something. Mom.
Right.
Nope, she's having us. So that's coming up in August. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. I'm sure we'll do maybe a little post-show pour.
Post-show pour for sure. I'm going to grab some glasses. And
little Jeffersons.
Stick around for some
those
Jeffersons.
Listening live, stay around for that. That could get interesting.
I'll grab that right now.
With that, we'll say goodnight, everybody.